Our next speaker will be presenting speech number 10, Inspire Your Audience, from the Competent Communication Manual. The speaker has been the driving force behind our new website. He has spent the last few months attempting to get the new Toast Host site operational. Today, he will review the site for its features and functions and go forward usage. Please help me to welcome Brad1, Toast Host 2.0, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Toast Host 2.0, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Brad1.
Ready for a scintillating presentation on our website? All right, let's dive right in. Well, Tim had confronted me sometime back in January to work on our old website and convert it to the new site. So for the newer members or guests, this was the original site that we had. So we quickly transitioned the site to the new look and feel, which I think most club members have seen. The goal here was to kind of get this up and running. I started in January. It was an enormous amount of work. The thing was, and this once again is a message to the newest members of the club, don't hang around after the meetings because your president can't come up to you and corner you into jobs you don't have time for. As it turns out, I started a new job in January and I travel almost weekly to the East Coast, so I haven't had a lot of time. I kind of want to apologize to the club because it's been a lot of work and a lot of challenges and I just haven't had a lot of time to get this going. But the good news is it is up and running. We now have the new site working. It is pointing at delmartm.org for the first time. Thank you. Yeah. The backstory on that is we've owned this delmartm.org, what they call domain name, for a long time. But we did not have something called DNS services, or domain name service, or hosting services. So it's just a lot of challenges to pay for that and get it up and running and get the site pointing correctly. But it is working. What I'd like to do now is take you through sort of a history of how the site came to be. Or what I should say was, what I want to do is focus mostly today on the agenda process. I spent time in an earlier speech taking everyone through how to log in, how to set up your profile, post your photo, get your phone number, everything set up correctly. All that information will be posted on YouTube if you need it, and we'll do whatever we can to get more information on that if you've not logged in. You can certainly see me after a meeting and I'll help you, but you need to go ahead and gain access to the site. The site is ready to go, but what we need to do now is I want to take you through sort of what we used to do from an agenda process and role giving process from the past, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do in the future with the new site, because it actually adds some new functionality that in principle should make things easier. So we'll try to take you through that today and give you a sense. So here's the history lesson. My slides are super better. Here's the history. So I think what I want to say here was basically Tim had been harassing me for some time about the actual club members freaking out about the site and thought everyone was going to leave us if we didn't get the site up and running. So that was my little slide there. So here's the process. First, the Toastmaster. And I think it's shocking that, doesn't that look like Doug's cat? I swear. First, the Toastmaster emails the club. Everyone who has a role receives the email. And then what they're supposed to do is actually come back and, if they're accepting the role, send an email back to the Toastmaster and the club in particular and let them know that they are not going to be taking the role. If they don't have the role, or if they fill the role, the club then will go ahead and go back and accept the role and then notify the person who had the role originally, who will then go back and email the Toastmaster, who then goes back to the club. You get the picture. the process is very, very circular, and there's a lot of email flying around. Now, what happens at the end of the chain if the Toastmaster is not getting responses from people? Well, the Toastmaster begins to call frantically to anyone they can to start to email frantically to get people to do their roles. And eventually, when it's all said and done, the club comes off with a great meeting, as we do week after week, because of the talent and folks that we have as part of our membership. So the process works, but it's kind of laborsome, and there's a lot of email and challenges that happen along the way. So where does that take us now? We have changes that we have to make. The site is up, as we know. You've got to go on and start to use this site. And what I'm going to do now is transition to what will change going forward and how you can use this site, I think, more powerfully. I do believe, after playing with it as much as I personally have, that we can quiet down a lot of the email traffic in particular that happens with the role processes as it goes. So we're back to the site. The first thing that you want to do is log in as a member. Now, this is tricky because our site is actually both for the public and for us, just as our old site was. But I think at this site, in the way that the look and feel of it is, you can actually navigate around without actually having to log in, and it gives you the sense that you are logged in. So you got to kind of think about that when you're getting started, that you have logged in as a user, because a lot of information won't show up for you otherwise. So the first step is to go ahead and log in. The next thing you want to do, and since I'm focusing this on the agenda and the role piece today, the next thing you want to do is you need to either click on the agenda link to get to the agendas, or what I like to do is I go to the club calendar. The club calendar takes you directly to the calendar, and each meeting is there by date. And if you click on the colored date, it takes you directly into the agenda for that week. So it gives you the ability to go look at future agendas and see where your roles are and so forth. So let me go back real quick, just because I don't want to blow past this. It's very, very powerful in the ability to pick any given week's agenda, and also go look out future months and so forth. From here, what you'll do is you can unassociate yourself from a role by checking the X box related to your name. So you'll notice that Noemi has the role of Sergeant at Arms for this particular meeting. If she knows that she's traveling and she can't make the role, she can check that X box, and her picture and role will become available again to the club. Then she goes up and checks the email little envelope button, and that will send an email or open up a box to the club where you can type an email to the entire club saying, my role is available. So it's all built right into the tool. You don't have to go out and log in your email. This will do it automatically for you. You then have the capability to check these little boxes, deciding on who you want to send it to. If you need to send a message directly to the Toastmaster or VPE, great, go ahead and do that. Now you'll notice that there's a sign-up button that pops up because she's given up her role. Now, as a member, if you've seen the email that's come out, you can just log into the site, click this button, and your photo and your name will appear in that box. The next thing you do is go back up to the email and notify the person that had the role that you've taken it and the Toastmaster. Okay? So old process was lots of email flying back and forth. New process is log into the site, click sign up, click the email button, and you're off to the races. Now, in the old example where I got to the photo of the switchboard and the Toastmaster calling frantically, trying to get people to fill roles and fill in the blanks at the end, the Toastmaster now has complete control of the agenda from the tool. And there's this little pencil button up here on the right that people wouldn't notice. This pencil button, if the Toastmaster pushes that, and only the Toastmaster each week will have access to that button, except for the President and VPE, that then gives them access to the actual physical agenda. And what you can do from this point is, if people are not responding or someone is having a problem, the actual VPE can come in here and click the down arrows, and the entire list of all the club members will show up. And you can just choose the name of the member for that particular position. So you have the ability to modify the entire agenda, okay, as Toastmaster each week. As well, by clicking on the pencil here for an individual role, you can adjust the timing of a role. So why is that important? Well, today my speech is slightly longer as my 10th speech. Maybe in this case, the Toastmaster needs to adjust down the table topics time to accommodate. You would scroll down to the table topics position and change the actual timing for that role so that the agenda stays on track. It's really pretty simple. It probably sounds complicated in this presentation, but very easy to sort of navigate up and down. But I think the real message here is that the Toastmaster has control of fixing and modifying this all the time, and there's no waiting for people to come and click and do it. Although I do think with time the club will get better at just going in and assigning it and picking up the roles. Another great feature is that with the speakers now have the ability to input there's a drop down where you can choose the speech that you're doing. You can then type in your speech title directly onto the site under your speech, and then you type in your own introduction. So in this case, Funny Laugh, Chuckle Chuckle is Doug's speech title, and here's his introduction. The next cool thing is the Toastmaster, once again, can click on this little printer icon and generate a pre-printed large format introduction sheet for each speech that you can then bring up to the podium and you're ready to go. Oops.